Hello, everybody. This is Bootsnake Games. Today we're gonna be messing around with some Twitch stuff, trying to work out some broadcast kinks and sort of see where we can go with this. Um, so we now have a webcam, so you can see me. Although I'll be looking like this most of the time, so you'll just see the side of my face, which will be super interesting. Uh, and so, am I going to be working on today? We're going to be. I'm going to be working on an economic prototype for our upcoming game. The idea is that we have this simulation of an asteroid belt with all this complex stuff going on. Like, there's going to be ships flying around and buying and selling goods, and you're going to be one of those ships. And while you're doing stuff, the game's going to be going on around you. So there'll be other merchants in the area buying and selling goods. Uh, Space stations will be upgrading. They'll be doing all sorts of crazy stuff. So what I'm going to be doing is sort of prototyping out, without very many gameplay mechanics, what the sim looks like. And the idea behind this is that I'm going to be able to figure out how difficult this problem is to work on, so whether or not it's something that, two people can reasonably make for a game, and see if we like it, all sorts of stuff. We have in our heads kind of what we want the game to be. Now we just have to figure out if we can make that sort of a reality. So I'm going to sketch in Photoshop using a Wacom tablet that I don't use very often, kind of what I'm going to build. So we'll see how bad I do at that. And then I'm going to use Unity to try to build parts of that. And we'll see how far I can get in a half an hour or so. I have no idea how much we'll get done. If you'd like to talk to me in chat, you're welcome to. I'll be in there as Bootsnake Games, and if you have any questions about what I'm doing or anything, please, ask away, and I'll try to answer any questions and talk as I make this. And if I'm not doing a very good job, just let me know in chat, and I'll work on it. All right, let me shrink my head down a little bit, and I'll start the next thing. Okay, so the main sort of crux of what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to have a couple. And please let me know, this microphone may not catch me while I'm working, so let me know if you can't hear me. I'm going to have sort of like a space station up here, and then a space station, another space station, and then this one's going to produce iron, and this one is going to produce steel. And then we'll have another space station somewhere else, which will produce medical supplies. And the idea is that we're going to have a ship, just at the start, just one ship, and it's going to fly around and buy stuff from each location, and then sell it at the other ones. And the goal is then for these space stations to upgrade. The buying and selling is really not very complicated, but as the ship sells supplies to each of these other ones, then we want these space stations to track what was bought and sold, and then slowly upgrade themselves over time. I don't know how much of this I'll be able to get done in one day, but we'll see where we go. So, whoops. Okay. So the first thing that we'll have to do is we'll have to build each of these entities. In Unity, I have kind of set up 2 stations and then this ship. Now they're very crude because I don't have any art for this, but the red balls are going to be space stations and the yellow ball is going to be a ship. And these stations are just going to produce stuff, and this guy's just going to fly around and sell it. And money's just going to come out of thin air magically for now until I build a better sim later. So this one, the top left one will do steel based on the little drawing I did, and the bottom right one will do iron. Okay. So the one thing you'll notice is I've set up I'm just using Unity's nav mesh concept so that I don't have to program how they move very much. I basically have it set so that if I click, then this ship will move. And right now the text flips around in really cool ways with them. So what we're going to do is we'll make the stations actually produce goods first. So this station is the iron station. I'll name it up here so it's easier for me to remember. And I'm going to add a production station script to this thing. So in here, basically I need to just set up a way to tell it what to produce, how often to produce it, and things like that. So the type of good, it'll just be the name of the good and the cost of good. And that's about it. And then on these stations, a station will produce So now a production station will produce a good, it'll take X amount of time to produce it, and it will store X number of them. It will also start with a certain amount of them, so that like the iron mine can start with 10 and the steel place can only start with 1 or something like that. Alright, so then at the start of this script, we will basically create it. I'm going to use set up some collections so that it's easier for me to manage this stuff. So now I'm just setting it up so that when it starts, it's going to create the amount of stuff it can carry, and then it's going to start with that amount of storage. So it's going to create a good. I'll do a copy of that. production good, and it's going to make the good to produce, and then it's going to add that to the list. Nothing too crazy going on there. So now when it starts, it'll spawn in. We'll do this for this ship, for the iron station. It's going to produce a good, it's going to produce iron. The cost is 10. And it's going to start with 5. So when I hit start, then I can go into the debug mode and I can see here mCurrent goods. It has 5 of those goods. So that all worked. Oh, it all worked correctly. So now the next step is to update it. So we have this amount to produce of. We know that. So now we just need to store out how much time is left. So then at the start, remaining production time equals time to produce. And then during the update, we will reduce this by the delta time that we've had. And if remaining time is greater than 0, then we just return out and do nothing more. However, if now we're down to 0, then what we do is we say if the number of current goods is greater than or equal to the max storage, then we return out. Otherwise, we can produce a good now. So what can we do here? So now we just need to create a new one. So production good, new good equals new production good of the good to produce. Add it to the current goods and set the remaining production time back to the time to produce. All right, so this guy, max storage 10, time produce is 5 seconds. Okay, so here we go. We'll start it up. And see, this is counting down, and then it adds, when it hits 0, it adds in this current good will pop up to 8, and then once it hits 10, this number shouldn't go down much anymore. Alright, so it works, so it caps out. Alright. So that's all really not super intense stuff. We'll do it, add it on the steel station as well. Now we're going to make the ship work. So the way the ship's going to work is it's just going to fly to a station and take goods from it and then fly away. Nothing too crazy right now. So I'll just set up some stuff in here. The main system this is going to have is a list of production goods that it's carrying. At start, we'll initiate the list to just be some large number of production goods. We'll do 128 for now, but it's not going to start with anything. So what it has to do is figure out where to pick stuff up. So this is sort of, you know, like, hey, what's near me that I can grab. In a real game, this would be a lot more advanced system. I'm just gonna, for the purposes of this prototype, I'm gonna create a array of stations, and it's just gonna know all stations at the beginning of the game, and it's just gonna go through each one and determine if it has any goods it wants. So we also need to give it sort of a state machine here. So we'll do public enum. So the states it'll have is idle, moving, buying and selling, and then just a number of states that we can use for miscellaneous upkeep. So it's going to start in the state of idle. So now we're going to have it do its updates based on which state it's in. So in the case of it being idle, we're going to write some comments for some pseudocode out. We want it to search for nearby cargo, plot if cargo found, fly to station. If not found, do nothing. And this is just sort of to get us going. That doesn't have a bunch of other stuff in there like, hey, I'm already carrying goods, what do I need to do about that? So the other states we have are moving and buying, selling. So in the case of moving, if in range of target, handle move complete. Otherwise, continue moving. And then the last state we have is buying and selling. Buy some shit and sell some shit. Or we should probably do sell shit then buy shit, because that way we have more money. All right. So search for nearby cargo. So for each station in the stations that we have, we need to see if it has any goods. So if station dot current goods, if the count is greater than 0, we have a station. So if it has some goods, then the target station is the new station, and we are good to go. So if target station is not null, then our nav agent is the target station's position. And then we need to store out the target station there. And we can actually just then start using it here. So, and then here, if found, do nothing. So that'll just loop out. Now down here, oh, and then we need to say, hey, we're moving. And then, now we want to check if we're in range once we start moving. So, if vector 3 dot magnitude. So we'll do if my position minus the target station's position, if we're within, we'll do, so this whole thing is how big is this? 18. So it's like 200 wide. So if we're within 10, so, and then since we're squaring it within 100, then our current state is buying and selling. Otherwise, do nothing. And we also need to stop the nav agent. Otherwise, it'll keep moving. And I need to look up how to do that. So reset path looks like the thing to do that. So we will say, hey, agent, reset your path. And then come down here. Now in the buying and selling, we're just going to take everything from the station without paying for it right now. So the way we'll do that is we'll just remove all, and that gives us a number of elements. No, we'll do it a little nicer. So for each production good and target station dot current goods, we will add that good to this ship. So our carrying goods but then we got to clear it out of the station. So mtarget station dot remove all. This isn't quite ideal how we're doing it, but it'll work for now. Just clear it. And then once we're done buying and selling, then our path current state is back to being idle. So what this ship's going to do, it starts idle, it'll find a station that has goods, move to it, take all the goods, and then do that same thing over and over again. So what this should look like is this ship here will come down to the iron station, pick up some stuff, go to the steel station, pick up some stuff, and go back and forth effectively between the two. And so let's see if that actually works. I bet it doesn't. Alright, I forgot to give it stations, so that might be the cause of that. Here we go. Alright, it's moving towards the iron station. It picks up 6 goods. It's idle. And it's still idle. Is it because the steel station has no goods? Yes, so the steel station doesn't have any goods yet. So when this hits, this number here hits 0 and the M current goods goes to 1, the carrying ship should start moving back up northwest towards the other station. Yep, there he goes. Here he comes. Picks up some goods and heads out. So now the steel station should have nothing. The ship currently is carrying 11 goods, 10 iron and 1 steel. It's heading back to the iron station, which has 7 goods. Yep, so it's ping-ponging back and forth and picking up goods. So hey, that kind of works. That worked out better than faster than I expected. Okay, so now the next bits is to figure out what to do with those goods on the ship and how to buy them. So the ship needs to has to carry a cost, or not a cost. The ship will carry money, and when that ship goes to a place, it can only buy what it can afford. And I'm just going to basically say it can sell things at any station. So if it goes to the iron station, picks it up, it can go to the steel station and sell it for a profit no matter what. Earth doesn't work that way, but the asteroid belt apparently does. So here we go. We will give the cargo ship a starting credits, and I'll default it to 100 or 50. So he's going to start with $50. So now when we get into the buying and selling, we're going to go through each good and see if we can buy it before we take it. So we'll actually give him $20. Alright, so his starting credits is 20. His current credits will be a different amount. So private. And then, here we go. And current credits. So if the current credits is greater than or equal to the goods cost, then we can buy it. So we'll do this a little differently so I can use a continue statement. So if the cost of good is more than we have, ignore this good. So if good dot cost of good is greater than m current credits, continue. Okay, now what we want to do, we want to take the good, so we say M current credits is less, we subtract the cost of the good, and then we add the good. Now we need to take the good out of this list. The problem with doing the way that I'm doing it is that if I grab it right now, it's going to disrupt the size of the list, and then the iterator and the list won't work anymore, so I need to rebuild just a little bit of this logic. So how do I want to do that? So now this is, we're going to iterate from the back to the front using just a for loop, and we'll go, hey, can we afford this? If so, then we want to take it, and then take it from that index. That way the size of the list is never, because we're always just subtracting one and possibly taking it, the I will always be a valid point, so we can just grab it out. So that works that way. So now the other thing we need to do is sell it. So the other last, what we'll do is we'll change it so that we'll have a sale cost for each of these goods, and it's just going to be set one time, and it'll just never change for now. So this cargo ship, when it hits a port and it tries to sell, it's going to say, for each of my items, I'm going to sell each one for the amount of money I can, and then clear the list. So for each production good in my list, we want to mCurrent credits, add the sale cost, and then clear out the list of what I have. So this will even let them sell iron at the iron station, which is not quite ideal, but for now it will work. So at the steel station, the steel is going to sell for 150. It's worth a lot, and it's going to, the production time will be, it's only going to store one, but it'll produce it in 5 seconds. So it takes up a lot of room, apparently. And then iron is just going to sell for 12. So it's not worth a lot, but while you don't have steel, it's good to just grab a bunch of it. All right, so let's see if this works or not. The ship, we'll go into debug. I currently have 20 credits, so that worked. And it's currently moving down here. Okay, so now it has 8 credits. That didn't quite work how it was supposed to, but I'll fix that in a little bit. So it picked up 2 iron, and now it's flying over to the steel station to buy to sell it at the steel. When it gets there, it really won't be able to afford it. And this is actually going to cause a broken loop in the AI logic, but it is leaving what it couldn't afford. Actually, it didn't do that. See, it's going to come up here. It's going to sell the 2 iron. And then, yeah, it's not carrying any goods because it can't afford the steel because it's so expensive. Now it comes down here with its $32. It should be able to buy 3 iron. It only bought 2. It's not buying it for the right price either. So there's some broken logic, which is, you know, sweet. All right. I need to debug this now, which is kind of a bummer. I was hoping this wasn't going to be complicated enough, or wasn't going to be too complicated, but I guess I didn't get what I wanted. All right. Sad puppy aside, let's find in here, where's my economic sim test? Is it this one? Yes. Okay, so then in here we'll go into our ship. I'm going to set up a breakpoint when it buys and sells. So this will let me look at the ship logic as it's happening to figure out exactly what is going on. So I'm going to attach it to the Unity editor process. I'll actually have to start this over. I can't attach it live. It has to be attached ahead of time. But now, when this hits this little station here, hey, all right. So how many goods am I carrying? It says here I have a count of 0, so I don't have to worry about this. So I should, when I hit F10, clears it out, nothing happens. All things went well. So the current goods here, there are 5 goods. And then I'm going to go through each good one at a time. I get a good, and that good is an iron. It has a cost of 10, a sale of 10. So the cost of good is 10. It is less than the credits, so we're good there. So current credits subtract the cost of good. So my current credits drops to 10. That's good. Now we add it to our thing. Now we come in here. We say, hey, grab another good. The cost of the good is 10, which is good. So now our current credits should be 0. The goods we are carrying, it says 2, so that's good. And the ship should have a current goods of 3. I can't afford it. That's good. Can't afford it. Can't afford it. Haha, I'm idle. Hooray. So now what's going to happen? We'll set it at the beginning of their update. So here we go. Update. The current state is idle. So I'm idle. Why? Whoa, something just went weird. It's back in the buying, selling, but I'm carrying 2 goods. It must, that's what it's doing. So when it idles again, it's finding the same station, and then it's acting at the same station over and over again, which makes sense, but sucks. And there's one reason why this is happening, and then there's a couple more. So this is just AI logic in the way that the unit's behavior is set up. So in here I say when I have a target station, set it to be that, I need to break out of this loop immediately, which is basically saying, hey, use the first station you find. The other thing I want to do is I want to say what my last station was. And basically what I want this to do is not go to the same station twice. So my last station, I'll set this in the buy-sell area. So down here, my last station equals my target station, and my target station is null. So Now, when I search for a station, I'm going to go through and I'm going to say, if this station is the same, if last station is not null, and the station is the last station I was at, continue. So never visit the same station over and over again. So hopefully this fixes the issue where it's doing that weird buy thing. So let's watch what the ship's up to. Yeah, so that did it. See, last time their current credits was a weird number because it was buying, selling maximum amount. So now it buys 2 iron, goes up to the steel station. It's going to sell that for 24, which is all it's going to be able to afford. And then it's going to go back to the iron station. Yep, that works. So it couldn't afford any steel, so it's just going to go back. And so it's just going to do this 2 more times until it can basically afford 1 piece of steel. And then it's going to start making a lot more money. I keep forgetting that if I Alt-Tab out of Unity, then the game doesn't keep running. It does when there's a setting, which I haven't set yet. But I keep coming in, checking chat and things like that, and pausing the game on accident. Alright, so this... Yeah, it's taking forever. Iron needs to be worth more money. That's what's going on right now. And I'm going to go ahead and just do that because it's taking too damn long. Alright, so iron. Iron will be worth 15 instead of 10, so it'll make 50% profit. Which still isn't that good of a margin. So it'll sell it for, it'll get 30 bucks back, and I'll buy 3, which will give it 45 bucks. So we still gonna chill for a little bit. Probably should have been 20 on sale, but whatever. Live and learn. Alright, now it has 4 iron. That'll sell for 60, which should give it enough to buy the big 1 steel, which will give it 150, it should leave there with 165 credits, it looks, I think. If my math is correct. Well, when it sells it. Yeah, so my math wasn't correct. Alright, so it's got the steel though, so it'll sell that for 150, giving it 165. The iron station probably has 10, so it should just straight up refill up. And boom, it did. So it has 65 credits left. It's carrying 10 iron because it sold the 1 steel to the iron station. So now it's just going to start making a lot more money because every time there's a steel at the steel station, it can buy it and just sort of continue profiting heavily. So this part's all working correct, which is nice. So the next sort of step is to have the iron and steel stations sort of interact based on the amount of goods bought and sold at them. So the more iron you buy from the iron station, it'll upgrade faster. The more iron and steel you sell at the steel place, it'll upgrade and things like that. And then we'll add another, after that, we'll add the medical station in there, and then we'll add a second cargo ship and sort of see how it all interacts together. I think, though, that that's probably a good stopping point for right now. I will start working on this again next week to show off more of sort of how this prototype will get built and move into the next things. But yeah, that was, so it went together pretty well. I'm happy with how all that kind of meshed together. Yeah. But in the meantime, here's a little bit of the new game. Yeah, we're New Ballard. So basically, how this is going to work in this game is like, this is your ship, and I come here, and I want to buy goods, and they have iron and steel and things like that for sale. And so then I'll be able to buy and sell them, go to other stations across the asteroid map, and then the whole galaxy will slowly evolve over time. So like this small mine, if I buy and sell things from it, eventually it might become a larger mine. Or the station right here where I can buy, these weapons and grenades and things. Eventually I'll be able to buy bigger and better things based on how the economy of the game is interacting, not only with the player, but with itself as well. So the other cargo ships, like the yellow one right here, it's buying and selling goods throughout the asteroid map, and then when the player goes someplace, if you go to a space station and you come back 5-6 hours later, it may be completely different just because the AI has been building a lot of stuff there. And so that's one of the key goals that we're trying to create with this game, is to really build a living, breathing universe that the player sort of gets to interact with and dominate or not. So yeah, I think that's good for today. I hope everybody enjoyed watching. Pretty soon we'll try to do more of this stuff, especially if people are finding it interesting. Just to do like an hour every couple days or something like that would be not the worst thing in the world. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.